Thank you so much. I appreciate this invitation. I am very glad to be part of this course and just to say that I have a close relationship with Soria. As Alfredo mentioned, my grandmother's first cousin, who was more like her sister because they lived together, married a man from Soria, from Duruelo de la Sierra, a mountain village in Soria, that is the birthplace of the Duero River, and in the early 1900s moved there and has a large family that is still in Duruelo de la Sierra, which I like to visit very much because it's a beautiful mountain landscape with a lot of trees, and it's beautiful. So I hope I can visit again soon, and I'm glad to be part of this and be connected with this effort. So thank you all. So today I am here to talk about challenges for global dietary recommendations. I will be sharing my presentation. If I can be allowed to share, please. Thank you. Yeah, for some reason I'm not being allowed to share. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Great. Yes, I hope you can see my screen now. Excellent. So as I mentioned, I will be talking about challenges for global dietary recommendations. I'm a nutrition officer in the Food and Nutrition Division at the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. So we probably you all know that one of the main challenges that we are encountering now is still malnutrition. And the latest food security and nutrition in the world, the state of food security and nutrition in the world uh, uh, publication that is a collaboration of 5 UN agencies in 2023 estimated that as many as 783 million people are undernourished, and over 2 billion people are affected by micronutrient deficiencies. The same report estimated that malnutrition is an underlying cause in nearly half all deaths of children under 5 years of age, and that 676 million people are obese. Diet-related NCDs are responsible for 74% of all deaths worldwide. So if we can also not only look at malnutrition, but also risks related to diets, many of you may already know that the Institute for Health Metrics estimated in 2019 that dietary risks was the main cause for the main risk factor contribution to death. So that is a major concern, diets and how they contribute to death. And in their global nutrition report in 2020, we have another challenge. That means that diets, if we continue again, the Global Nutrition Report estimated that if we continue having diets, the same dietary patterns and following diets the same way we are doing with the increase in population, and with the current situation that we have, the production systems that we have, we would have in 2050 a much increased amount of greenhouse gas emissions being produced, as a result of the food that we have. For instance, you can see here different food groups and their contributions to greenhouse gas emissions, cropland use, blue water use, nitrogen application, and phosphorus application. As you can see, all of the levels that we would have, the environmental pressure that our food system would be putting on our natural resources would be very, very dire by 2050. So what can we do about something like this? So on one side, we need to be promoting healthy diets, but on the other side, we also need to think about how these healthy diets and what their contribution are to environmental sustainability. So the FAO and WHO have been preparing some basic principles of healthy diets that are in preparation. This is part of the Healthy Diet Monitoring Initiative that in which FAO, WHO, and UNICEF are collaborating and have come with these four principles: adequacy, balance, diversity, and moderation. You probably know about these principles a lot, and but always also considering that we need to protect and enable food safety, because if it isn't safe, it isn't food. But of course, these principles are very general, and diets have always to be contextualized. We don't eat the same in the mountain that in the coast, in one country or another. And therefore, countries, over 100 countries, have described what healthy diets are in their context through the development of dietary guidelines. We have a repository, the one that you can see here on the right-hand side, in which we include we try to maintain it as updated as possible, in which we countries share with us their latest dietary guidelines, and we put them there. So it's a repository of dietary guidelines, and we have all of those from those different countries, so 100 countries in a repository. Um, so, but what are dietary guidelines? So we were saying they contextualize what a healthy diet is in a country, right? So they are evidence-based recommendations, and they outline what this healthy diet is. They have to be country specific, but they are developed. I mean, there are some other guidelines that can be regional, but normally we are referring here to the country specific, and they are developed based on the best available evidence, as I mentioned, and an analysis of the context. Typically, this has been the health and nutrition situation of the country. The context is this. It has been this part traditionally. But they are popularly recognized by simple messages and the graphic, like the one that you can see here on your right-hand side. They are generally used to inform consumers and disseminated through communication products or in food and nutrition education. But they have been said, experts have agreed that they have the potential to inform and guide policymaker actions, not simply to inform or encourage individuals. Among them, the Global Panel for Agriculture and Food Security and Nutrition. This is in 2020 in their foresight report. They state this, and so. So what we have here is that also experts have been calling for the integration of sustainability into dietary guidelines. And as I mentioned, this is necessary because of the weight that our diet has on environmental impacts. So several estimations of what the contribution of dietary guidelines to climate or other environmental issues are available, and so through this we have also been supporting countries in the last few years in the development of their dietary guidelines. And we realized that there was a need for new guidance. So why, of course, why this need? Well, dietary guidelines have been developed. Countries may have their own methodologies, but basically the global guidance has been limited to this 1998 manual that was the result of a collaboration between FAO and WHO, an expert consultation, and as a result of the first International Conference of Nutrition, when they called for countries to develop food-based dietary guidelines, because before dietary guidelines were nutrient-based. That means many countries were recommending people consume X quantities of carbohydrates, fats, etc. So there was a call to develop them in a food-based approach. And this manual was the result of the collaboration, again, to try to guide countries on how to prepare these guidelines. There was additional guidance that came in 2007 as part of these another expert consultation work in the Caribbean. But other than that, there is very little global guidance on how to develop dietary guidelines. Again, there was this interest in sustainability of diets, of integrating sustainability. Our support to countries identified that there were many areas where there were still gaps in guidance. Has been already criticism of current dietary guidelines and things that is not clear, transparency on how things are done. We also had a survey of countries to see what they were doing and what kind of needs and gaps and innovations were available. And so we embarked in the process of developing new guidance on how to develop dietary guidelines. And so these new guidelines take a food systems approach. This new methodology that we are developing take a food systems approach. This here is the report by the high-level panel of experts of the Committee on Food Security and Nutrition. They have, this is a diagram of the food system, and this diagram of the food system has diets very much in a central spot, as you can see, with their different characteristics. However, as you can also see, diets have a two-way relationship with consumer behavior, with food environments, and food supply. So it's not only the diets, there is a whole food system that has a relationship with these diets that also results not only in nutrition and health outcomes, but also has broader impacts, as we saw, economic impacts, social equity impacts, environmental impacts, etc. And then, of course, policy and governance become also very critical on how these food systems relate to diets. Therefore, with this food system approach, we embarked to develop, as we mentioned, this new methodology that is called the FAO Food Systems-Based Dietary Guidelines Methodology. This is just a diagram of the different stages in the methodology. We will be publishing this later this year. And we have, of course, throughout the whole process, multi-stakeholder, multi-sectoral engagement, capacity development, monitoring, evaluation, and learning, and of course, the integration of sustainability considerations. In stage one, we have this aspect of designing and planning the national process. That's the first stage. The second stage is analyzing the situation and reviewing the evidence, which is where you may be familiar on this, because of course that's the basis for the recommendations. Then in stage 3, we develop recommended dietary patterns and formulate the multi-level technical recommendations. This is, we recommend here to do this with dietary modeling. And then in stage 4, develop a food systems-wide implementation strategy. Stage 5, design capacity development and communication actions. And in stage 6, implement, monitor, and evaluate. And this whole methodology is also informed by a theory of change that you can see here in the right-hand side. Where the inputs is the process, this multi-stakeholder, multi-sectoral engagement process with people from multiple disciplines that collaborate to develop a series of outputs. So it's not only one document, it's several outputs, for instance, policy, program, and stakeholder analysis. Again, the situation analysis and evidence review document, that includes a targeted food system analysis to see what the issues in the food system are contributing to these diets, and how can they be looked at to better support the healthy diets. And then from that, we have the dietary goals, recommendations for the food supply, food environment, and consumer levels with interventions that are evidence-based. And then from that, we have, again, the implementation strategy with communication and capacity development plans, sectoral implementation plans, and the monitoring and evaluation framework. We hope that through all of this, we would have at the intermediate level legislation, policies, and programs that are developed, reviewed, and implemented in alignment with the dietary guidelines, with the food system-based dietary guidelines, and that the food supply, food environment, the actors, and the consumers would be willing and able to take actions that are aligned with these food system-based dietary guidelines. In the longer term, of course, a coherence of policies and programs to promote healthy diets and sustainability would be shaping the food systems. And then also we would have a coordinated response by food system actors to increase access to healthy diets from sustainable food systems, at the same time as consumers' diets and food practices being better aligned with the guidance. And finally, this would result in improved diets, better nutrition, and more sustainable food systems in support of the SDGs. So looking forward to sharing with you this new methodology with the theory of change and all of the other publications that will be coming out soon. Just as a final slide, what are the strengthened and innovative elements in this new guidance? Well, in yellow, you have the innovative elements. And as I mentioned, it is anchored in this food systems approach that I just explained. And it integrates sustainability considerations throughout. Then also, because it is anchored in a food systems approach, it is focused in a systemic analysis and systemic changes. Again, the theory of change that I presented, and the strong behavioral focus so that really consumers have a better ability to be supported to change their behaviors, or to make sure that positive behaviors are reinforced. Also, as you saw, we have this implementation with capacity development and the monitoring, evaluation, and learning that were not in previous guidance. And then we strengthen the national ownership and leadership in the process through a setting up of a process that is more likely, from our experience in support to countries, to deliver better implementation. how the guidelines are informed by scientific evidence with a more robust process is also part of the strengthened points of this new guidance that we are issuing. We again are encouraging countries to involve multiple stakeholders and multiple disciplines in the development and implementation of dietary guidelines, and to maintain the process free of vested interests, so that there is trust in these new guidelines have the public health of people as the only interest and the main interest when they are issued. So again, looking forward to share this with you, and looking forward to listening to what other countries are doing in their dietary guidelines, which will be the following up presentations. And for more information, we are available to respond. Thank you.